One game that really stood out to me was the Thursday night football game, the Chicago Bears versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was surprised that the Buccaneers Tom Brady just doesn't look good. And I know the week before he had 5 touchdowns, and everybody was like, oh, the old Tom Brady is back. He's starting to figure things out. And then he goes against arguably one of the best defensive teams, one of the best front sevens in football, and laid up a dud. He just didn't play well. The offense didn't play well in the game. Gronkowski looks old. And this team just hasn't really connected throughout this season. He's thrown a massive amount of interceptions. I think he's thrown 5 or 6 this year. 4 of them was pick sixes. So he has not looked good. What were your thoughts? I think the Bears are the team to beat, one of the teams to beat in the NFC. I really do. I picked them early in the season on our show Below the Mic. I thought that they were going to be one of those teams that were going to really be a standout. Now it's Nick Foles. It's not Mitchell Trubisky. Everybody knows my opinion towards that. What is your thoughts to that game?
Well, as far as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are concerned, you can definitely see that Father Time is starting to catch up to both Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. I did get to catch part of that game on Thursday night. And the Bears, believe it or not, are definitely look different from the way that they looked last year. They gave the Bucs all that they could handle. Brady did struggle in this game. However, there were some bright spots. So, the Bears moving forward with Nick Foles, come on now, a lot of this was billed as, a Super Bowl rematch as the two of them squared off in the Super Bowl a few years back, with Nick Foles getting the better of Tom Brady. So a lot of people were kind of pitching this as a grudge match. But the Bears are definitely a team in the NFC that is going to give some other teams some fits. So they're not a team that can no longer be taken lightly. And believe it or not, even the Buccaneers with Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski struggling, even though they are having a little bit of those struggles on offense, they can, in fact, move the ball up and down the field. And Bruce Arians does have them playing competitive. And, you can't say enough about Todd Bowles and that Buccaneer defense. He may be looking at another head coaching gig in the NFL next year, possibly. So, it's definitely something to keep an eye out for. But I definitely agree with you. The Bears are definitely a team to keep your eye out on.
The New York Giants, I know a lot of people don't think that we don't talk enough about the Giants, but the Giants are not right now the laughingstock of New York. It's the New York Jets with everything that's going on behind the scenes. But the Giants are 0-5. They went and they played a very talented team like the Cowboys that have not played well throughout the season. And that's because of injuries, but a devastating injury for Dak Prescott. The ankle injury, he's out for the season, might be career-ending. It really could affect his career. Unfortunately, Dak Prescott did not take the extended contract that the Cowboys offered him in the offseason because he thought that he should be the highest-paid quarterback in the league. He wanted $40 million. He didn't get it. He got the franchise tag, which he's making about $36, $37 million. But unfortunately, he got injured. And then you saw Andy Dalton come in. A lot of people like Andy Dalton. I'm one of them. I think he fits the offense. And the Giants played very well in the game. Offensively, they're showing life in their offense. They really are. And Daniel Jones, I know a lot of people say that Daniel Jones is not holding the ball. He's fumbling the ball. He's back to the old Daniel Jones, and that's a huge problem. And right now, if the season were to end, the Giants would have the number 1 pick, not the Jets and not the Falcons, because right now, early in the season, their strength of schedule is a little bit harder than both of those teams. But all in all, I think the Giants played a good game, but the Cowboys are the better team. They're explosive. CeeDee Lamb is a sensational player. He's probably going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And they have Gallup, who made some sensational catches, unbelievable catches. And, of course, we know about Amari Cooper. What were your thoughts about the Giants and the way they played in that game against the Cowboys?
The Giants showed some fight, believe it or not, against the Cowboys. And, that Dak injury was just, oh, my goodness.
Devastating.
Gruesome. Your heart goes out to him, sending the love and prayers that on a speedy recovery for him. I mean, you never want to see a player go down like that, especially the way that Dak Prescott did, regardless of whether or not you're a Cowboy fan or not. Yet your heart has to go out to the player. So it was difficult for him. But Andy Dalton did come in. He did get the Cowboys over the hump. They were able to snatch a victory. But you know what? I think the New York Giants are close. The New York Giants are probably going to break through. They may end up winning 2 or 3 games. They're going to surprise some people, believe it or not. And Daniel Jones is not as bad as people say that he is. Regardless of the fumbling issues and stuff, that's all a coaching issue. And you got to give Joe Judge the benefit of the doubt here because, Gettleman is not really giving him a lot to work with. But, Judge's no-nonsense attitude, you can tell, and that team is playing hard for him. You know what? The Giants are playing a lot harder than the New York Jets at this point. So,
Absolutely.
they're gonna surprise some people coming down the stretch for the rest of the NFL season. So, just be patient. Let the process play itself out. I really think the Giants got themselves a gem in Daniel Jones.
I feel bad for Dak Prescott. He lost his brother before the season, a suicide, and there were stories were coming out, and he's right now fighting with the bipolar disorder that his brother had. I think it was bipolar, and then his mother a couple of years ago passed away. So this guy has had so many hurdles that he had to jump, and now he's got to jump another hurdle. So I feel really, really devastated about Dak Prescott. I like Dak Prescott. I think he's a good guy, and he's a good NFL player. You saw what he was doing. He was going to break records this year. I think he would have broke 5,000 yards this year with that offense the way he was playing. So it's a really sad situation. The Dolphins and the 49ers, that game stood out to me because I think the Dolphins are a team that could make the playoffs. They could be a wild card team. I love Brian Flores. I think he's been a sensational coach since he came from the Bill Belichick tree and the New England Patriots. He's showing you that he can coach, and he can coach some of these young players, and he's developing some of these young players very fast. And they played against the 49ers team, the NFC champions, and they didn't just beat them. They crushed them. I don't want to hear they played Mullins. It wasn't JG. It wasn't him. It wasn't Nick Bosa. I don't want to hear about all the players that they were missing. You play a team. You play the players that are on your schedule. And they kicked the living daylights out of the 49ers, 43-17. What did you think about Ryan Fitzpatrick, the old Jet?
Well, Fitzpatrick definitely has found a little bit of the fountain of youth down in Florida, and he's being able to run Chan Gailey's offense the way that Ryan Fitzpatrick does. There was a reason why Chan Gailey was brought back to Miami. It's because that he was able to really get the best out of Ryan Fitzpatrick, as his quarterback. So Brian Flores right now is pushing all of the right buttons. I said it at the beginning of the year that the Miami Dolphins were going to be a very dangerous football team. A lot of people laughed at me about that. A lot of people predicted they were going to go 5-11 or 4-12. And I definitely think that this team is in a prime position to make some noise in the AFC East. Because, the Jets are still suffering from failure to launch, but that's another story. So, but the 49ers really, laying an egg against the Miami Dolphins does say a lot. Jimmy Garoppolo struggled in this game. He was actually benched at one point in this game, in favor of Mullins. So regardless of who was out there for the 49ers, and the 49ers had shown in previous weeks that their backups are very capable when their starters don't have the ability to go. So, I don't think that this was a fluke. I think that the Miami Dolphins took advantage of a 49er team that was suffering from a rash of injuries, and they did what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take advantage of a weak opponent, and that's exactly what they did.
There are 5 other games that I'm going to quickly go through, and I want to know your opinion. The Raiders shocking everybody and knocking off the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe that was the reason why they made the move for Le'Veon Bell and bringing Le'Veon Bell after the Jets released him. I think he's going to give them a different dimension in the backfield. That's something that they probably don't have. They can use him as a wide receiver. The Raiders, Derek Carr looks like he's for real. He looks like he's for real. John Gruden is getting a lot out of some of the players that you wouldn't expect him to get out of. I was very, very impressed with the Raiders. Also, the Colts getting knocked off by the Browns. I picked Indianapolis, and the Browns are playing good football. Odell Beckham looks like the old Odell Beckham. This team is just a different team. Maybe it's the coaching. Maybe it's something else. Maybe Baker Mayfield is trying to figure himself out. He's not getting the yards and getting the touchdowns, the fabulous touchdowns that you would expect a star quarterback to do, but he's playing pretty well. Also, the Seattle Seahawks and the Vikings game really stood out to me because I thought that was a fun game to watch, especially knowing that the Vikings needed to win that game. I picked the Vikings to win that game. I thought they were going to win, but Russell Wilson is just a fabulous quarterback. The defense, Seattle's defense is horrendous. This is a terrible defense. But Russell Wilson this is the reason why he's the MVP of the league right now. He's been sensational. He stood out to me. Throughout the season so far. He is by far the MVP of the NFL right now. Another game, Justin Herbert. Say whatever you want. They lost against the Saints, but Justin Herbert, week in and week out, what you've seen ever since he's taken over from Tyrod Taylor, this guy is for real. This guy is the best quarterback in that draft class. I said it when he was drafted. This guy is a superstar. He is going to be an elite quarterback in the league for years to come. He's got weapons. I know the defense has been broken down the last couple of weeks, but I love what I see from from the guy like Justin Herbert. So I've been very impressed with Justin Herbert. And also the Tuesday night game that everybody knows, there was no Thursday night game, it was a Tuesday night game. The Tennessee Titans, Ryan Tannehill has been unbelievable. I don't know what has happened to this guy. Ever since he left Adam Gase, this guy has become a star. And
Ryan Tannehill shows that there is life. There is indeed life after Adam Gase.
Oh, absolutely life. And he didn't just crush a Bills defense. He tortured an undefeated Bills defense that nobody thought was possible, especially Tennessee with the COVID-19, not practicing practically all week, and some of the wide receivers that were hurt. You wouldn't expect the Tennessee Titans to completely implode or explode the way they did. They didn't implode. They exploded. And 42-16, Ryan Tannehill was unbelievable. He was the player of the game. The running touchdown at the end of the game just sealed the deal for what he is this year and what he could be as a Super Bowl championship competitive quarterback. Those are the games that stood out. What were your thoughts to all those games?
Well, let me tell you, I'll start off with the Raiders-Chiefs game. That was definitely the upset of the weekend because, a lot of people were picking the Chiefs to go undefeated. They really didn't see anybody on this schedule that would be able to be a speed bump. But the Raiders are just coming out of nowhere. The question is, can they sustain it? Because we saw the Raiders get off to a hot start last year, and then they started running into problems. They lost against the New York Jets last year, and then everything started to spiral out of control for them. So the question is going to be, can they sustain the momentum that they have right now? But this, in my opinion, was definitely the upset of the weekend. I want to go to that Bills-Titans game. Wow. Just, you hit the nail on the head when you talked about Ryan Tannehill and his performance against the Buffalo Bills. What was also shocking to me was you started to see a little bit of Josh Allen come down to earth. The Buffalo Bills they are no doubt probably the team to beat in the AFC East. But you really saw them struggle against the Tennessee Titans, and you start to wonder if this is a blueprint for how other teams should be matching up against the Buffalo Bills in the future. Just a question mark to keep at the back of your head. Another game that stood out to me that you did not mention, the Panthers at the Falcons. Mm-hmm. The Panthers are slowly starting to make people stand up and take notice. And guess what, Jet fans? Robbie Anderson is a big, big part of that. Hot hands right now. So, again, you're starting to see the Carolina Panthers very quietly start to make some noise. Another game that stood out to me, of course, and I'm going to put this one out there, which you didn't mention, the Los Angeles Rams beating. Come
on, man. Look who they played. They played the Redskins.
The Rams.
They played the Washington football team.
The Rams are making some noise because a lot of people expected them to take a step backwards. But Jared Goff and company, they're banging on the door and they're saying, hey, guys, we're still around. We're still around. And, of course, I also want to mention that Seattle Seahawks, Minnesota Vikings game, Russell Wilson, if he's not the NFL MVP this year, I have no idea. Considering that Seattle defense, allowed almost 500 yards of total offense in that game, and they still managed to put out a win.
Well, I will say this, and Seattle and Russell Wilson is right now far and along. He is the MVP, but Aaron Rodgers is right behind him. He's had a sensational season too. So those are the two guys. If Aaron Rodgers explodes, and he might explode this week, and if Russell Wilson has one bad game, Aaron Rodgers could be the MVP. I mean, it's back and forth. Both of them are having sensational seasons. Right now, it's Russell Wilson. He's been fabulous. He's been unbelievable.